Stu, what's up, brother?
How
Mr.
are
Stu
you?
Adler himself. How are you?
I'm doing
Trying to get
great.
you here for how long now?
I'm sorry?
Just move this closer to your mouth when you're talking.
Good?
Good. I guess so. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not listening to you. What's going on?
Same old thing. Same old thing.
So,
Closing loans.
How was the weekend?
The weekend was beautiful. Beautiful. Nice and relaxing.
Did you watch the footballs or no?
I did watch football. I did watch football.
You still doing that? I was thinking. I called you yesterday to find out. You still doing that knockout pool or no?
No, the person who did the pool evidently just stopped doing it, had some issues, so it went by the wayside.
gotta
You
start
came
that up
close
again.
to winning that. You came
I
close
know.
to winning that. I never came that close.
Yeah, I came very close.
You were
that
down
one
to
year.
like a Final Four or something.
Yeah,
once.
something like that. 3, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then I think it was, who was it? The fucking Jets, like always. I think knocked me out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They beat the Bills or some shit like that.
Yes.
Like, it was an impossible win, and it knocked out 2 of the 3. The other guy took like some freaking crazy team.
Exactly.
And yeah, unfucking with fucking Jets. They always kill me. The Jets.
They
doesn't
kill
matter.
everybody, Rich. Don't worry.
Nah,
they kill everybody.
Special for me.
Break
though.
everybody's.
Jets-
Just did a closing with somebody who is good friends with Jim Kelly and Josh Allen.
That's funny.
Yeah, and he said when they drafted Josh Allen, a whole bunch of them went to dinner together, and we were sitting around the table, and they were asking Allen all these questions, and he said, "This is the perfect place for me to go. I wanted to be in a small town, small city, community. This is what I'm
And then you
from. This is for me." And so, of course, they asked, "So what would have happened if you were drafted by the Jets? Because the Jets could have drafted
right.
him." He said, "I would have been really disappointed."
is that really?
Yes.
That's funny.
Really disappointed.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And then if you ask Jim Kelly that same thing, he had nothing to do with Buffalo. Remember that?
Yes.
There was a whole the whole story about him and Marino and all of that.
Yeah.
He went to the UFL.
I was there at the time. I was in Buffalo at that time.
Oh, were you
when
really?
He rejected them. Yes.
That's crazy, right?
Yes. Yes.
He went to the USFL, right?
Yeah.
And he played for Dallas, I think it was, or
Houston.
Houston. That's right.
Houston.
He went to the Houston team. That's right. And he hated Buffalo.
And
And then he
lit it
fell in
up.
love with him.
And then he fell in love with Buffalo. They fell in love with him, and he's still there.
That's right. He's still
He's
there.
still there.
And it's a small community too. So did you ever see these guys walking around?
You saw them, yeah, absolutely.
Like all day,
You saw
right?
them at night, at restaurants, at clubs, yes.
What was
absolutely.
what was the wing place there that was known for the Buffalo the wings?
There's Duff's.
Duff's is the place. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Duff's.
They were the creators of it. Not creators, but they were like the.
No, the Brick Bar, I think,
The
is the
Brick.
first place. That's downtown more. I think that's
right.
where it was created.
But Duff's was the best.
Duff's was considered the best. And so my roommate was from Buffalo. And the first time I got to Buffalo, I said, we'll have some real Buffalo wings. So they took me to Duff's, and the waitress came over and said, you can get them mild, medium, hot, suicidal. And my roommate was like, I'll take them medium and give me a few that are hot. And I said, yeah, I'll have them medium also. And same thing as Sam, a few that are hot. And she said, everybody can hear it. I hope my Long Island accent, it never goes away. She caught on right away, and she said, have you ever had our wings before? And I said, no, I have not. She said, I'm going to suggest you start with mild. I said, no, bring them out. I was tearing. My nose was running after 2 wings.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame up
I know. It's totally different. It
Yeah.
really is. And I wonder how Julia would do in that wing eating contest over there. she's a savage
there.
out
You
there.
like spicy food, Jules? You can handle it? Okay, we'll take you to Duff's.
We gotta go to Duff's. We gotta do a road trip there and see what they do.
Yes, right on Millersport Highway.
That's right. It's that's funny. And then so you graduate college. I mean, you graduated law school.
Graduated law school, yes.
You end up going into real estate law right from the beginning, or would you start to practice? And what was your dream?
I went to a firm that represented gasoline station owners and did litigation, commercial litigation, and a little bit of real estate with that.
Okay.
Wasn't happy there, okay? So then I went to a real estate corporation in the city, and I worked for them for a while. And that was really interesting, was really a lot of fun. But then they came to me and they said, and maybe this might be a regret of my life, that eventually they're going to close up, sell all their properties in New York, and they want to buy a hotel in Puerto Rico. And then
Interesting.
I'm one of the employees that they would take with them.
Oh, wow.
Only going to take a few. And I just wasn't ready for that. I hadn't had a legal career. I hadn't done anything yet. So I left them and I went to a firm that this firm had a son and a father who kind of ran it, but they owned a mortgage company, they owned a bank, they owned an appraisal company,
Jeez.
they owned a title company, and they had a law firm. They did everything. So that's where I learned everything there, how the whole system works, everything about real estate, specifically residential at that firm. Learned everything there.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then when did you decide to go out on your own?
Okay, so I'm going to give advice to any young attorney out there because when I was at that firm, I'll put it bluntly, there were a lot of lazy people there as far as I was concerned, okay?
Sure.
Just looking to get by. And we had offices up in Elmsford, we had offices in Staten Island, and every time they wanted to do a closing, they wanted somebody to do some kind of closing, whether it was a construction loan, something a little different, late on a Friday, late on a Thursday, nobody wanted to do it. So I would always just raise my hand and say, I'll do it. No matter what it was, I'll do it. And I learned and I made contacts and I bumped into people and I got great experience because I was not afraid and I just said, I'll do it.
Yeah, you're going to do it.
I'll do it. So one of the contacts I made was a foreclosure attorney who was the top foreclosure attorney probably in New York at the time, a guy by the name of Philip Irwin Aaron. And he approached me. And
I thought you were going to say Hankin or Jeff Mazel or something like that.
No.
Yeah.
This is he is foreclosure. Philip Irwin Aaron, he used to tell everybody he wrote the book. Okay? Anybody out there listening will laugh if they know him. Okay? So he said he was starting a closing department in his law firm, and he had a fairly nice-sized law firm, 15 attorneys or so.
Wow.
And he wanted to start a closing department. He had a client that needed somebody to do just bank closings, and he asked me would I come and do that and run his closing department. And I said sure, because I really liked him. And his client was Champion Mortgage. I don't know if you remember Champion
I remember
Mortgage.
them, yeah. I do remember
When your
them.
bank says no,
No, we say yes.
Champion says yes.
That's right.
So they were a great company, and I formed a great relationship with the Goriebs, who were the owners. Okay, Joe Gorieb was the gentleman you'd see on TV.
Yep.
He was, the father, and he started that company in New Jersey. Had a great relationship with them. And then there was a falling out between my boss and the Goriebs.
Okay.
And so it was just really foreclosure work at the time, and I didn't want to do foreclosures. So I had been talking to a few other people, and we decided to start our own business. And we
So
did.
interesting.
Yeah.
Why didn't you want to do the foreclosures at that time?
What?
Why didn't you want to do foreclosures?
It was moving back into litigation. I wanted to
Okay.
stay away. I had done litigation. I wanted to stay out of the litigation. I loved the transactional. I loved doing closings. That's what I really enjoyed. And I figured, why go that way? And then I'm going to get stuck there. So
Why do you think that was? Why didn't you want to stay with the litigation part opposed to the contracts? Just what you chose, or
What?
It's just what you wanted, or is it?
it's something that I still, to this day, enjoy more than anything else, being at a closing. Okay? I wish I could just go from closing to closing to closing.
Wow.
That's what I'd enjoy doing, okay, that moment. And if it works out, everybody's happy, you're doing a great thing, the sellers, buyers.
What is
it's
some of
just
the-
a nice ending.
So you're there. How long? If you don't mind me asking, how long roughly are you doing this for?
Okay, so I am doing this since the early 90s.
Early 90s. Okay. On the real estate side, or?
Yes.
Okay. So you got experience, obviously. You know what you're doing.
A little.
A little bit, right?
A little bit.
How do you see the world changing since the 90s into the 2000s, the 10s to today? Like what did you see like actually happen to those times? Like how's it gotten? Has it gotten worse, better, somewhat,
That's a really difficult question because some things got worse and some things got better, okay? Let's just start off with the signing of a contract.
Sure.
Okay? To sign a contract back then, all right?
Took around 4 weeks.
Yeah. People had to come into your office, or you had to go to their house. You had to review it with them. They had to sign the contract. There was no email that you could send it to them for them to review ahead of time, go over the phone with them. So you had to go there, or they had to come to you, and it was preferable if they would come to the office, review it, they'd sign the contract, again, couldn't scan and email it to the other attorney, couldn't fax it to the other attorney because you needed an original, okay, to be signed. So it had to be 2 or 3 or 4 duplicate originals had to be overnighted to the other attorney.
Remember that,
Then
yeah.
finally meet with the sellers, get the sellers in to sign it. So in that regard, everything is so much easier now. Signing contracts, you get an email, you mark it up, you send it back, all computerized, really easy. Go over the contract with your client, have them DocuSign, Adobe sign, whatever your preference is, and you can get in contract in 2 days, 3 days.
Which way was easier? Like not easier. I shouldn't say easier. Like, which way would you prefer? Now I know the easier part is that, but did you like the experience that you would have with the client coming in and talking about it and going over the contract? I'm sure you still do that today. But
Still do it today, and I don't feel it that different when I'm on a Zoom with them or I'm doing it over the phone. I still feel that as long as I'm going over the contract, the way I go over a contract with them, that I'm making that connection. I don't have to be there in person.
Okay.
The same connection is being made. So I like that much better.
You do?
Yes. I don't have to wait for them to get there. We have a set time. I call them, and when I'm done with that, I can go right on to the next one and call somebody else.
How long does the
if
average
need be.
contract take to just break down and all of that? Because it's all same bullshit, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It should be. It definitely should be, but it is not. It all depends on who the seller's attorney is. Some of these seller's attorneys have attached these riders to their contract where they're saying everything 3 different ways. It's not necessary. Maybe a small rider, and actually, in today's world, you don't even need riders because you can just go into the standard printed contract and adjust it and make your changes right in there. So firms like myself and other firms that do a lot of this, we all have our own contract that we've slightly doctored, okay, from the standard, but we don't have 20-page riders, 15-page riders. That's as soon as I know that this person's not doing a lot of real estate, in all likelihood, or they're just not reasonable when they send me a rider that doubles the size of the contract. And once again, it says things, the same thing, 8 different ways with little variations here and there.
So interesting. And then somebody told me to ask you this question. They knew you were coming on, and as a real estate agent, obviously. Do you get offended when the other attorney on the other side marks up the contract? Like your contract, do you get offended when they're changing your contract?
Do I get offended?
Yeah.
It depends on the changes. Some of the changes I agree with, okay? Other changes, they don't show me they don't understand the contract, okay? So I don't think I get offended. I really don't get offended. I just get upset that maybe they shouldn't be doing this, or some of them have been doing this for a long time, and they still make these changes that show they don't understand what the underlying concept is in that
So you
clause.
think it's that they don't understand, or they're just trying to be a pain in the ass?
Some of them are just trying to be a pain in the ass.
See what they can get away with.
Some of them are uncomfortable, nervous about certain,
really?
the way certain things are, yes, or worry warts. Some people think, their client's buying a $600,000 house, and they think it's the Empire State Building.
Yep.
So they have all of these extra things that they mark up and put in it. But I don't get offended. What I do is I just cross it out, mark it up, and send it back to them.
Bunch of markups.
What?
Just a bunch of corrections. All
Right. And if they want to talk about it and give me a call, I'm more than happy to talk about it. And sometimes I find that's probably the best way to go because, no offense to realtors, you guys get in between sometimes. And you're saying, selling agent is saying that the attorney is saying you didn't respond to this or something to that, And if he just picks up the phone and calls me, or I just pick up the phone and call her,
that's it.
all of a sudden, we're
Problem
friends.
solved.
We're friends, yeah.
That's right.
And it's worked out.
I always laughed at agents that did that. I'm like, let him do his fucking job. That's the attorney's job. Give it to them. That's their job.
Yeah,
Let them do it.
absolutely.
I ain't an attorney, so let them do it. I never understood
But yeah,
that. way
what I
with these
do
agents.
not like, though, is there is a certain set of attorneys that will take the contract, they will bring in their client, the purchaser, go over the contract with their purchaser, mark it up, have their purchaser sign, and then send it back to me with
Yeah,
changes
that's not
that I
cool.
haven't approved.
That's right.
Like, why did you do that?
Why? What's their explanation on that? You know, and I know everybody's different, but they're just trying to.
I think one,
Because you're on both sides, so you know.
yeah,
it.
I think one, they think by going it over with their client, they've been upfront with everything, and now their client knows exactly what the contract is and is getting what they want in that draft. Okay? Two, I think they're putting a little pressure on me. Let's speed this thing up. Let's get this thing going. Here's a contract. It's signed. I have the down payment. All you have to do is say, you're good, and I'll send you the down payment.
But
It
once
can be in
you're
contract.
in the business since 91, 92, wherever it is, you're not going to fall for that shit.
No,
Right?
no.
So it's a moot point in a way, right?
It is. And it's funny because a lot of attorneys will put, when they send out the contract, they will put, do not make any changes to this contract without contacting me first.
Sure.
Those attorneys just ignore it and put it in. Well, I mean, you're not going to kill the deal because they marked up your contract.
I wonder, so with that, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was talking to different title companies, and I'm always out there looking around, and you're always bullshitting
I know.
with people,
I know.
obviously.
Yep.
You're trying to just get smarter in the industry every day. Where would you see more lawsuits based on with attorneys, or when the real estate agents are acting as the contract?
I'm going to say when the real estate agents are acting, okay, doing the contracts. I always say to people, and we're talking about a down payment most
Sure.
of the time. So when I go over the contract and have the down payment with people, talk about that down payment and what the risks they're taking and things like that, I say there's only two ways for the money to come out of escrow. One, buyer and seller agree where it's going to go, and that's 99.999% of the time going to happen because that's the whole goal of the transaction. Buyer gets the house, seller gets the money, okay? If there's a dispute that arises during the course of the transaction and buyer and seller cannot settle it, come to an agreement, which is so rare, I always say, it's the oddity, you have to go to court. I like to say I've done 1 million closings. Of course, if anybody calculated a lifetime, it's impossible to do 1 million closings.
Yeah, I get it.
But I've done a lot. I'm going to knock on wood. I've never had a lawsuit over the down payment.
How many do you think are because of the realtor doing it, like in Florida or these other states where the attorneys aren't involved? Because I agree with you. I think it's better to have an attorney. My opinion, my humble opinion, I think it would be because the responsibility of owning a home. I think it should. It's the biggest purchase in the world. That you should have a lawyer checking it out. I always found that idiotic too, in a way, where no disrespect to realtors, but I'm going to let them tell me what's wrong and what's right with a contract, and I'm going to go sign it. So if I'm in one of those states, I'm going to always look for a lawyer. And I know they have that right, but
Yeah, and you do have that right, and everybody does tell you that.
correct. But I don't understand why people don't do that, because I know a lot of them don't. So I'm assuming there's a lot of other problems that come up because of that.
I think there are, and I always say it's good until it's not good anymore.
Yep.
Okay, and I've had people come to me, people who've had relatives buy in California, relatives buy in Florida, and they'll say, can you just take a look at this for a minute? My father-in-law sold in California, and they gave him this closing statement, and he can't get the numbers to work. They just don't match up. Can you take a look at it? And I take a look at it, and I obviously see what happened.
What it is, yeah.
There was supposed to be a credit to the seller, but they gave it to the buyer. So he was short whatever it was.
$1,000, whatever it is.
It was much more than that.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Wow.
And so I called the realtor. They asked me, can I call the realtor? And I called the realtor, and the realtor said the buyer had no more money. Either we did it that way or the deal was going to bust. I said, didn't you think it would be a good idea to ask the seller?
Yeah, really. Like, well, that's crazy.
So I don't know. That's happened to me twice, something similar to that, where I've looked at something, which is not a lot, but it's 2 more times than I've gone to litigation over my own contracts.
So take us through the process here. I know we don't have a lot of time, but because it just went by so fucking fast, she's telling me. But how does it? Take me through the whole process, just as an attorney and what you do, like, just to tell the public what it's like to be an attorney. Like, what's the whole process of buying a home?
Okay. All right. So
Agent shows, does all of that good stuff.
agent shows you a
Contracts
house.
are now in place. They did who goes first, the inspection or the attorney? Let's start there.
I think they should be simultaneous.
Okay.
I think it's fine, and some attorneys are against it. I'm not, because again, we're all about speed here, okay, or keeping it moving forward.
Sure.
Okay, so I think you can do your inspection, and the seller's attorney can get out a contract simultaneously. Okay, seller's attorney gets out the contract, buyer's attorney can mark it up, send it back, find out how the inspection went. Realtors know that, and they can say whether there are any issues. They can actually discuss it right there or right afterwards. If there are going to be any repairs necessary, a repair writer, what seller's willing to fix, what seller's not willing to fix.
Okay.
Okay? You might go back and forth a little on the contract, hopefully not. But it all depends on how
The
crazy.
attorneys.
Okay? And a buyer's, I should interject that, a buyer's attorney can be crazy too. I get some writers from buyer's attorneys that are just as
Outrageous.
long, okay,
Yep.
that are outrageous.
Okay.
But once it's sent back, once you're in contract, okay, I always tell my buyers at that point that your responsibility now is to work with your lender. Get your lender everything that your lender asks you. Make sure that you keep in touch with your lender. Stay on them to get your commitment done. And so there's no delays there. In the meantime, we order immediately. We order title, a title search as the buyer's attorney, and a survey.
Silly question, going back to what you just said. How many of the buyers are actually taking your advice
As far as,
with the whole bank and staying on top of their lenders to making sure?
you know something? I'm lucky that I work with several really good lenders a lot of times, and I get so many, as you know, referrals from realtors
Sure.
that are working with good lenders. So by the time we get there, the lender already has most of the things that they need, okay? And they can even tell me, this is a home run, this person's very, I like the word mortgageable, okay? Going to be an easy deal, or I'm still going to need a few things from that person, okay? So they do listen, and they're ahead of me
Okay.
already.
So then,
Okay.
finish. You keep going then.
All right, so we order that, so we can get that in right away and avoid any issues. And I think a survey is something that's quite often missed and not ordered, and everybody's looking around. And as you know, a survey can cause a problem. If it comes in late,
Right.
they hold up closing. So that's why we believe you should order the survey immediately with the title.
I remember when I
Okay?
used to take the listings, I used to make sure they had survey on file.
Mm-hmm.
But then nowadays they want new surveys ordered, right?
I am a firm believer in getting a new survey.
Okay.
Okay,
Why
because
is that?
because a change can be made on the property that the old survey doesn't show. And it
Okay.
could be only a
Fair
short time. And one thing that happened to me once, and the client listened to me and got a new survey. I begged them to get the new survey. The next door neighbor changed their driveway. They enlarged it, unbeknownst to the owner of the property, and there was an encroachment onto the house. That the survey, if we used a 4-year-old survey that the seller was willing to give us, it would have never shown that. They would have never known about it until they went to sell, maybe.
Then it would have
and a
become an
new
issue
survey.
there, and they would have lost their site.
That
They
it was
would've-
encroaching onto
right.
their property.
And then it's 10 years.
What?
After 10 years, it becomes the.
Yeah.
Is that's the law?
After 10 years. But that is not the law.
Okay.
It has to be there for 10 years. And
They had to know about it.
What?
They have to know
There's
about it.
all different parameters, all different things, and it's a really hard case to make. Okay? Really hard case to win in court. Okay?
Okay.
It's not something that happens
Most neighbors
easily.
are usually good with it anyway, though, right?
Yeah,
my
and you know
opinion.
what? Around here in Nassau, especially in Queens, what are we talking about? 1 foot?
Yeah.
1.5 foot over, 2 feet over? You're buying $1 million property. 2 feet in the rear corner of your property. Does that really matter to people? I would never let it kill a deal.
Okay.
Okay? I always, unless the client is crazy. All right? But I would never let it kill a deal over something like that. I want to protect them, and I have it in the contract that they don't have to go forward. But I'll say,
Why? What's the-
why? What's the big deal back there? There's weeds and
Yeah, it's
shrubs
just-
and everything else.
Doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so now we're at this stage where you get everything ordered.
Yes, we get everything ordered, and then we're hoping that they come in all on time and in line. And hopefully, we should get title first.
Okay.
Okay?
How
And
long
that's
does it
the
take to
biggest
get
thing.
title?
What?
How long does
It should
title
take about 10 days.
Okay.
Okay? And we get title.
And to explain to the public and everybody out there, even some real estate agents, what is title?
Okay. Title is something that every homeowner, purchaser of a piece of property should obtain. It's title insurance. Okay? So you get insurance saying that as of the date of closing, you are not only the sole owner of that property, but nobody else has an interest, lien, or any kind of interest at all in the property. Okay? It's the only kind of insurance, the way I explain it, that protects everything from the past. On the date of closing, the past is wiped out. You go and buy a homeowner's insurance policy, it covers you for the next year if the house burns down. You buy a car insurance policy, it covers you for the next year if you get into an accident. Title insurance doesn't cover anything in the future. It covers the past. It says, as of this date, you are insured in the purchase price, up to the purchase price. You are the sole owner. There are no liens on this property, and you're good. Okay?
Has it ever got passed where the title company missed it? I'm sure there's been cases, right?
Yeah, there are cases, yes. And then the title company has to defend you, and if they lose, they have to pay you. Okay, that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. And they will defend you. I've seen cases where they will come, they will send guns blazing and defend you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then after that, now what happens? So title gets ordered.
Title gets ordered, title comes in, and it's the first thing that comes in.
So
You
you
review it to
review it.
make sure you have the right owners, see what liens are on the property, if there's any back taxes, any judgments, okay, what mortgages are on the property, which is also a killer. You want to make sure that the only mortgages on the property are the mortgages that this seller has taken out. Sometimes you see an old mortgage, and that can slow a deal down also, looking for
How's that
where
possible?
that
'Cause
satisfaction.
I've seen that plenty of times where you see an old mortgage pop up. How does that even happen? Just wasn't
Especially
satisfied.
back in the day, and even now, this industry is one big paper trail. And if one piece of paper, a satisfaction of mortgage, doesn't get filed, then it just is,
sitting.
there's no follow-up. It's just sitting somewhere, and it was never filed.
So that
It
means
could be
somebody didn't do their job. And
somebody didn't do their job and follow up. It could be the lender. It could be the title company. Okay? It could be the county clerk. Who knows? It's just sitting somewhere.
that's so interesting.
Okay? Yeah, there are ways
First
to go around, but then the further away you get from that closing where it was paid, the harder it gets because, as you know, title companies go out of business,
Sure.
banks go out of business, and it just gets harder and harder to try and get
Find
that
the
piece of
paper, sure.
paper or find out who can sign off on that piece of paper. But if you buy title insurance and then that mortgage shows up when you go to sell 20 years later, you just take out your title insurance. You're insured.
You're good.
As of that day, you were the sole owner of the property with no liens. That lien was
Free and clear,
vanished, paid off. So the title company that insured you just contacts the title insurance company of the buyer and says, we'll indemnify you. We were responsible for recording that. It was paid at closing. You're not going to have a problem. You can issue your policy.
Okay. So now what happens after all of that? We get to the closing table yet, or is there anything else? You got the
Survey
walkthrough, I
comes
guess?
in, commitment comes in, okay?
Okay.
And we're assuming that there's no little issues that have to be worked out, such as the out of possession, as you brought up, okay?
Yep.
But you work out all these things, and you have to. And the whole thing is, I always say in this industry, communication and be proactive. Once it comes in, take care of it, okay? There's a clause in the contract that says that once that a buyer's attorney has to notify a seller's attorney with any objections to title. All purchasers' attorneys put in that notice equals the receipt of a title report. If we send you a title report, we don't have to spell out what the issues are. We always spell out what the issues are because I don't trust sometimes the other attorney. I want to make sure they know what those issues are and they should be working on them right away. But let's say it's all good. Survey comes in, that's good. You clear your title issues. Mortgage commitment comes in. As you know, there's always conditions on that.
Sure.
That's when you really need the purchaser to work on that with their lender, and that's the time when I really stress that they should be working with their lender and getting their lender everything that their lender needs at that point.
What's usually some of those?
You know what it is? Up-to-date bank statements.
Okay.
Okay, up-to-date pay stubs. They might have a question about something that appeared on their credit report. They
pretty
might have
easy
made
stuff. It's
they
nothing-
might have made a large
Purchase at the time?
purchase, not purchase, a large deposit at the
Okay.
time, and they want to know where is that money coming from.
Okay.
Okay, when I see all those things, I will always call
So why does
the
that matter?
lender. What?
If it's a deposit, why does that matter? I know the answer, but why does it matter? Just so you can tell me. I don't want people thinking that.
It matters because if you see a large deposit, lenders are afraid that they took out a loan to get that money. So now they owe somebody else money in connection with this property, and
That's where the gift
they don't
funds
want to
come
be
in.
involved. Okay, they
Okay.
don't want that. It's got to be their own money. They have to source their own funds.
Okay.
Okay,
So now we got all that cleared?
we're all cleared.
We at the closing table yet?
Then we can schedule a closing.
How about the walkthrough? Anything ever go bad on those things that you see?
Too much things go wrong on a walkthrough. Okay, and it all depends on the type of people that are involved. Okay, I try and tell all my people, make sure I stress it's got to be room clean, vacant, and everything in working order. You have to be out on that day if there's no post-closing possession. Okay, I try and prep them for that. Make sure you have enough time. Make sure you take care of that. But of course, that doesn't always happen, and other things can happen. Something can break down. Something can happen the day before the closing that you have no control of as a seller. Some purchasers will walk through and will just let things go, and some will pick apart every little thing. And then it's a matter of sitting down at the closing or before the closing and unfortunately either arguing or talking it out, okay? Which you hope really doesn't happen, but it happens more often.
Silly question, and I know the answer to this also. Arguing or talking it out, which is the better approach?
I always think talking it out. I've had attorneys carry on the other side of the table when I'm sitting with them, and I tell them, listen, it's just you and me. You're not in front of a judge. Just talk to me, okay? The one time I had a client selling the home. This was my client's fault, okay? And it was like a $3 million purchase, okay, Old Westbury. And he called PSEG to shut off the electric. When the buyer was walking through the house, the lights went out.
Oh
the
my
electricity went out, okay? Huge purchase. They came to the closing. The purchaser was a DJ. And my client was into like all kind of technical stuff. So he had this crazy sound system in his house, and he was only leaving one part of the sound system. And that's all this kid, and he was a kid, cared about was this sound system. So the first thing he did when he went to the walkthrough was
Check that something.
he checked out the sound system. It worked. Then he started to go around, and all the lights went out. And he said, I'm good. Don't worry. The sound system's working.
That's all he cared about.
That's all he cared
awesome.
about.
Wow. So this is awesome, and thank you. It went by, again, these things are going by so fast because they're so interesting and great, and I really appreciate today. What advice would you give, again, we were talking earlier, what advice would you give a new attorney coming into the business?
Communication. Communication is everything. Okay. Keep everybody informed from the client to especially the realtors as to what's happening every single step of the way. And you should not have problems.
And then what advice would you give to a new real estate broker that's coming in to the industry?
I'm going to say that if you have a new real estate broker, agent coming in, and he works or she works for KW, and I'm not just going to stroke you here, that participate and take advantage of everything that KW offers you. Ask questions, learn as much as you can. Like I said, when I was young, and I would say, I'll do it, I'll do it. Take part in everything, learn, soak up as much as you can, okay? And you will learn, and KW offers you so many different advantages that other realtors don't. You can basically start out on your career and be on a great path.
I appreciate that. And then, as a whole, just an agent as a whole, walking into doing their first deal, what should they know? Buyer side, seller side? What's that one thing they should look out for? And I know there's more than one thing.
It's different on the buy side, okay? They should, I guess on both sides, I really think that they should do a little due diligence, okay? Look up the property, know about the property, okay? Find out, are there extensions, are there additions, okay? How long has the seller been there? Different things like that. Do your due diligence is the only thing that I could say. And I would stress, don't leave it to the last minute and believe everything that you're being told.
Awesome. And that's on both sides, buy and sell. Mm-hmm. Another silly question, how often does that happen?
For a seller, if they do their due diligence, if you get everything as a listing agent ahead of time, it makes, like,
so much
here
easier.
are the COs, there are no open permits. We've gone down and checked, okay?
Right.
You can't run title, but here is the deed of record, okay? This is the last deed, these are the owners, there will be problems. Okay? Here's a survey. Nothing's changed since that time. Again, it helps out all of the time.
What does the survey go for now?
$750 is the average cost.
Is the average price? So you would recommend every home that's being sold have the agent or the seller purchase a new survey,
New survey all the time.
automatic. Anything else they should do?
What?
Anything else that they should do besides that?
They
If
should
the purchase on the purchase side,
on the purchaser's end.
well, purchaser or seller's end.
What a new agent should always be doing, especially on the purchase end, and I always stress this, is they should be putting their team together. You should have a team. You want lenders that you have or go-to lenders, attorneys that are your go-to lenders, inspectors that are your go-to inspectors. Okay, that's just to start it off. You should have insurance people that you can go to at a whim and get them. The more people you have and can say
In your
that I
corner.
have all these people, the easier you're going to make the transaction for your client. But again, lender, attorney, inspector, that will get you through.
Awesome. One more question for you. Pick of the week next week. Who is it?
My pick of the week is Buffalo. I think they play New Orleans.
Think they are?
Yeah, Buffalo.
It's a home run win. So I'm going to go with New Orleans. Stu, it's great having you, brother.
My pleasure.
Thanks for
My
everything you're doing,
pleasure,
man. I
as always.
appreciate you.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Good job.